Okay guys, good morning. So in our last lesson we talked about solving and checking one-step equations. So the next logical step, which you also should have done last year, is two-step equations. So we start by reviewing what we did previously, right? So I'll do the first one here. X plus 17 is equal to 3. Right, so we want to eliminate that positive 17, so we add its opposite, which is negative 17 on both sides. We get x equals negative 14. For the next one, I've got negative 10 plus x is equal to negative 7. Here I want the x isolated, so I want to eliminate my negative 10, so I add its opposite on both sides. And I get x is equal to positive 3. With number 3, I've got negative 8x is equal to 24. I'm going to divide by the coefficient of the variable on both sides, which is negative 8. That gives me x is equal to negative 3. And with the last one, I've got x divided by 5 is equal to negative 8. We multiply both sides by 5 because 5x divided by 5 is simply x equals negative 40. All right, so we talked about a one-step equation being one operation, and logically a two-step equation should have two operations. The first of those operations will generally be an addition step, and the second step will either be a division step or a multiplication step. Usually I do this in one lesson. I'm splitting it up this year into two lessons. So the first lesson is going to be addition and then division, and then the next lesson will be addition and then multiplication. So we need to first isolate our variable term just like we did before. So I want 12x to be on its own, to be isolated, meaning I want to eliminate positive 17. So I add that its opposite on both sides. So let's see what happens when I add negative 17 on both sides. 17 plus negative 17, I can put the addition sign here as well if we need a reminder. 17 plus negative 17 is 0. 77 plus negative 17 is positive 60. And we bring down our equal sign and we bring down our 12x. Now we can rewrite the one-step equation, 12x equals 60. I'm going to divide both sides by the coefficient, which is 12. And that should give me x is equal to 5. So let's talk about our check, right? Remember, 3 steps to our check, right? Our first step is we're going to rewrite our original equation, 12x plus 17 equals 77. Our second step is using parentheses. We're going to substitute our value for our variable. So in this case, we think x is equal to 5. And our third step is to evaluate using order of operations. So I see two operations. I see multiplication and I see addition. I'm going to do the multiplication first. 12 times 5 is 60, plus 17 is 77. And finally, we do our addition. And there's your check. So for your homework, guys, that's what your check should look like. It should have all those steps, right? When you do your work, it should look identical to mine. You rewrite your original, you substitute, and you evaluate using order of operations. All right, let's apply the same steps here, right? My variable is negative 4x, my variable term. I want to eliminate that variable, isolate that variable term, meaning I want to eliminate whatever is on the same side, which is my negative 11. So I'm going to add positive 11 on both sides. Negative 11 plus positive 11 is 0. 21 plus positive 11 is positive 32. Bring down my equal sign, bring down my negative 4x. I like to rewrite this as a one-step equation. Now I'm going to divide both sides by the coefficient, which is negative 4. That leaves me with x is equal to negative 8. And if I check, I'm not going to check every one just because, like I said the other day, this lesson would be twice as long if I did that, but I can check it verbally. Negative 4 times negative 8 is positive 32. Positive 32 minus 11 is 21. All right, let's be really careful with this one, right? What do we need to do? Well, I need to eliminate the negative 7. So I'm going to add positive 7 on both sides to eliminate that negative 7. So let's see what happens. Negative 7 plus positive 7 is 0. Bring down my equal sign. Negative 25 plus positive 7 is negative 18. Let's be really careful that we bring down the negative 3x, right? So if I left you guys all to kind of your own devices here and I said, all right, you've done 2 of these, do one on your own, at least half of you guys are going to forget to bring down the negative 3x. Okay, or the negative with the 3x anyway. So it's really important that we remember to do that. So now I rewrite. I've got negative 3x equals negative 18. I divide both sides by negative 3, and I should get x is equal to positive 6. Now I want to quickly check this one just so I can show you what it looks like, because it does get a little tricky with the negatives there. So I'm going to substitute the 6. I'm going to leave everything else exactly the same. Now, really important step here, right? What are we doing? Think about what we did a little with distributive property and order of operations. I'm multiplying negative 3 times 6. Negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. I don't need to bring down another negative. I just bring down the negative 7. Again, negative 7 comes down. What's next? Negative 3 times positive 6 is negative 18 equals negative 25. Now, what do? I do negative 7 minus 18. I add the opposite, and I get negative 25. That's my check. That's my proof that x is negative 6. All right, so we're going to look at this and say, this looks familiar, right? So we did this with our one-step equations. And again, I like the familiarity. I like to try to throw things at you in advance, so when you see it the next time, you know, we're not seeing it for the first time. So yeah, technically this should have been in today's lesson. This is a two-step equation, but it fits in well with the one-step equation unit. So I like to throw it in there as well. So we said we want to isolate the variable, which again is negative x, meaning we need to eliminate the 29. So we add its opposite on both sides. 29 plus negative 29 is 0. 15 plus negative 29 is negative 14. But again, guys, what comes down? That negative x. So logically, we can say, well, if negative x is negative 14, then x is 14. And that's correct. But what should we really do? We should say negative x is really negative 1x. Meaning I need to divide or multiply, but typically we divide both sides by negative 1. And that's going to give me 14. And the check, I mean, just look at it, guys. 29 minus 14 is 15. It should be very obvious. All right, so for this one, we're going to run into what we think is going to be a problem, kind of like we did at the end of the last lesson. All right, 9x plus 19. So we're going to say to ourselves, well, I know that 5 plus 19 is 24, but how can 9x be 5? Well, it's fine if x is a fraction, and we have to, you know, come to grips with the fact that in a lot of these problems, right, 8th grade, 9th grade, we're going to see fractional solutions, and that's okay. So what's my protocol? Well, if I want to isolate the 9x, I need to eliminate the 19 by adding its opposite on both sides. So what's 19 plus negative 19? It's 0. We did our job. We eliminated it. What's 24 plus negative 19? It's 5. And we bring down our 9x. Let's rewrite. 9 times some fraction is equal to 5. How can we find out what fraction that is? By dividing by 9. And what do? Don't touch the calculators, just leave it, right? We said if an answer has a fractional solution, it is pretty easy to work out just by hand, just by doing what we just did. You don't need to do anything beyond that. X is 5/9. Probably be a good idea to check this one out, right? What's my check going to look like? So I'm going to rewrite my equation, okay? I'm going to substitute. Now, what's 5/9 of 9? Well, 1/9 of 9 is 1, so 5/9 of 9 is 5 groups of 1, which is 5, plus 19 is 24. And we check this without much issue, right? Okay, so if you get a solution, right? I don't want to put this in my calculator and get 0.5555556 and get all confused. We're not checking that, certainly. So leave it as a fraction when in doubt, and then it should check very easily as we see here. All right, guys, so there's your now try. So I would like you to pause the video and try these, okay? I want you to solve them and check them in your notebooks. All right, and then you can unpause, and I'm going to go through them. Let's use a different color here. So let's add 33 on both sides. All right, so now I'm looking at 20x is equal to 60. I bring that down. Divide both sides by 20, so x is equal to 3. And if I check it, 20 times 3 is 60. 60 minus 33 is 27. And this one's a little bit tricky because there's a 0. We don't care, right? 0 is a number. It's an integer. It's not positive or negative. It has no sign, but it's a number. So I want that negative, well, actually I can do this in a few different ways. We haven't talked about moving variable terms yet. We will in a few days. You could add 3x on both sides and divide by 3. Personally, that's the way I would do it. But being consistent with the rest of the lesson, if I want to keep my variable term there, I want to eliminate the 18. Now that 18 is positive, right? The 3x is what's negative. I add negative 18 on both sides. 18 plus negative 18 is, of course, 0. 0 plus negative 18 is negative 18. And again, let's be very careful that we keep the sign tied to the term. So I'm going to rewrite my negative 3x is equal to negative 18. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. And it leaves me with x is equal to positive 6. And if we check it, negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. 18 minus 18 is 0. It should check very nicely. All right, guys, there's your homework, right? In case there's any confusion, we are absolutely going to solve and check, guys. I'm only giving you 4. If I gave you 10, I would not require you to check, okay? Not with two-step or multi-step, but with 4, I think it's reasonable that we can solve and check these. And again, it should look pretty much identical to what we did in class, right? So for the first one, just as a little guideline, you're going to write your equation. You're going to add 11 on both sides. You're going to rewrite at 8x equals 40. You're going to divide both sides by 8. You're going to end up with x is equal to 5, and then you're going to check it. You're going to rewrite. You're going to put 8 parentheses 5, and so on. You're going to put 40 minus 11 is 29, and 29 is 29. So there, I just did the first one for you. All right, but that's what I expect to see with the homework, that you write the equation, you show all the steps exactly like we did in class, in the video at least, and then you're going to do the check following the 3 steps: the rewrite, the substitute, the evaluate. Any questions, concerns, issues, as always, we talk about it on Google Classroom.